Hey guys, how's it going? In this video here, I'm going to take and show you a way how to use these boards to study. And I'll preface this to say that if you study, everything that I'm going to show you here, these are just tips, by the way. You can do on a computer, you can do it with software, or you don't even have to even use this board here. Here I have the Millennium Exclusive, but you can use this one or any other brand. But the point is that if you're a person who wants to use an actual physical board to study, I'll give you some practical tips and ways that may help you focus on your game. Because again, like I said, I like to use a physical board because it really, for me, I like to feel like I'm in a tournament setting to some extent. And what I mean by that is if you do use a physical board to study, I found that you really need to be committed to it. In other words, like you don't have to sit there for like 2 hours at home like you're playing in a classical game in a tournament. But, you know, sometimes I just take 15 or 20 minutes and I'll just sit there and just focus and be quiet. I'll shut my office door and I'll just look at a position and won't even make a move. And I'll study the position as if I'm about to make a move. When I think about making a move, then I'll actually make it. And then I'll turn on the analysis and see what it says. And then whether it's good or bad, I'll leave it. Then I'll actually turn off the analysis. And then I will proceed to play it out against an injured, winning or losing. So again, that's some tips right there. Is everything I just told you there. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into the menu here, and I'm going to show you one of the most common things that you can do. Well, actually, I'll tell you first. You could actually take and set up a certain opening. For example, let's just put this on analysis. For example, here. Let's see here. Put this on analysis. And we'll see the book here. So say we want to just study the Roy Lopez. Your opponent does this. You know, this is just the typical Roy Lopez. You can see everything here is book. And what you could do is just end up taking this position here. Again, not necessarily this position, but I'm talking about whatever position you want. And play it out against a computer, for example. Or another thing you could do is find openings that you, for some reason, everybody has this problem. It's certain openings, for some reason, you just don't do well against. So basically, you can take those openings and put them in and try to, under this analysis mode, and make, say, some moves in your games where you did bad and see where you went wrong at. And then you can back out, and then you can actually adjust that move to a good move, and then back out and play it against, play it out against the computer to whatever level you want. That's another common thing to do. And it's all, but again, the whole thing that's around these boards to me really is going to be wrapped around doing some sort of position setup. There's a few other things, and I'll show you something here in the end. But anyway, let's go back to the menu. Let's cut that off. Let's go to menu. And let's go to setup. Now, what I commonly do, let's see here. We ain't gonna worry about whose move it is. Another thing I do, like I said, I pick positions, set them up on the board. And what I'll do is I'll maybe spend sometimes an hour, sometimes 50 minutes. Usually it's not like an hour or more than an hour or something like that. Sometimes just 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever time you got. But you got to be focused and committed to doing it. So these are like these older books right here. These are books right here, reprints from the 70s. And actually this has a several part series here. One thing I like about these types of books, they're written by authors that, play that you see is held in regard in the, in history that you otherwise, won't see today, obviously, because that passed away or whatever. But one thing I like about these old books, the main thing I like about them, you look at here, is that they don't have a lot of different lines in the book, because computers weren't out back then, because it's not like 10 lines that can bog you down. You can kind of play through the game, kind of stay on track with the game that they have, and you actually can, get something out of the annotation they got, because it's not 10 zillion computer lines that somebody has just thrown in a book that just say, hey, you could have done this and this and this and this. And it's just like, you know, while it looks good and it's awesome, it's still like mind numbing to say, all right, I could have done that, versus actually getting some insight from a real person in a different era that had no real computers at all. So anyway, let's take this example here. This is a Marshall and Halper. This is in New York. I'm sorry for the lighting here a little bit. Lighting is a little bit bad here. New York, 1941. And this is an awesome position. So here's the position. So what we do, we'll go ahead and set it up. We're just gonna, this is exactly how I do it. I set my position up, put my knight out, king. And here, and the reason why, now this is a good position right here. This is sort of random. I had never studied this one, but I like that white has sacrificed the queen, because, I mean, that's a cool thing to do, is to sacrifice a queen if it works. All right, so I think that's the position there. All right, so now that's the position set up, and it is black, and it's not white's the move, and then you can hit OK. And also go back in the menu and I go to analysis and just see, or either you can study the position, but let's just assume I sat here and studied this position for 15 or 20 minutes, and I thought of a move to do. This is just a tip here. So then you would go in here and you look at the, and then you can get the analysis, you can kind of see what's going on with the position. So with that said, this is a perfect position here to sit here, play through, and then go back. And then once you do that, like, kind of don't cheat yourself. Don't look at the annotation and see what they say to do. And then after you do all of this, make your move, you know, play the game out a little bit, read what they said about, you know, in the book, just to get some insight to see, did you think like the person who wrote the book? And that's another little tip there. So again, in this position here, the book says, the queen, I quote, the queen is now no match for white's minor pieces. On the one hand, black cannot complete his development by connecting his rooks, and on the other, his king will soon be attacked by white pieces. So now, there lies two ideas in this one position here that you can probably apply to many middle game ideas. Is that, okay, if you can stop your opponent's king from castling, and then make it hard for them to connect their rooks, and your king is in a solid position and your pieces seemingly are active, you can soon get an attack on the queen, but don't rush it. I guess this is, you know, this is the way I would look at this. And so the way, and again, this is black's move in this position, but, you know, given the chance, I mean, there's so many things that white could do. White could put a knight on, say, e5. And the only way to really run it out, you know, is to trade a knight. And if you trade a knight, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, you actually, as black, almost don't even want to trade pieces in a case like, at least in my view, because you need some defenders for your king. That's why I say I wouldn't trade. So for example, if you put a knight on e5, I wouldn't necessarily try to trade, because you're going to get, especially that white bishop is pretty strong, the black bishop, I mean, and the rooks are going to dominate the center of the board. Black can't connect his rooks. You know, that's kind of how, that's somewhat how I would look at this position, just as a snapshot of what I'm talking now. But you get what I'm saying. Like, you just take the position in, study the position for a little while, and then think of a move you're going to make. Just like, because again, pretend like you're in a tournament. Don't just make a move and be like, oh, I could have done something. Just pretend like it's a real move, and then make your move. And then turn on the analysis, see what the analysis says. If it says it's good, well, it's good. If it says it's bad, well, it's bad. Well, what you do is you still just play it out a little bit just to see why it's bad, or you play it out to see why it's good. And that way you got analysis over there. It can kind of guide you a little bit, so you can maybe garner some ideas as you're going along. And again, after you do all of that, come back here to this book and read the annotation again after after the position. So, and again, I recommend a lot of these books from the 70s, again, because I like the different array of authors that they had, and also the fact again that they don't have a lot of computer lines in them. I mean, well, none. They didn't have any computers back then, any real computers, and chess computers, and they really stick to the game and stick to what's on their mind, and that's what you really want to get out of this, is how to think through your way through these positions. Because I mean, again, who doesn't like some bizarre combination by a computer? But practically, I mean, that's kind of hard to pull off, you know, on your own. Some quiet move in a seemingly lost position, and you just, oh, I'll just push this pawn because you're winning, but you don't know that. But a computer knows that. So that's how I would. That's again, this is just how I would study. Use this board to study. I will also, as I mentioned, openings earlier in this video. Now, one thing I want to show you really quick. Let me go to menu here. Let me cut this analysis off. Now, if you go to menu, you go to options here, and also on the King as well. And I think on the King you can actually download new books, and on this book, and on this the King. I mean, on the King software here, maybe, and the ChessGenius. If you go here to book, I'll show you what I'm talking about. You got Master Book, Egon 1994. Then you got Open Games, Spanish, Semi-Open. See these specific books? I think you can download more of these specific books. Like you got Queen's Gambit specifically, Indian specifically, Gambits. So basically, you can take these books that's kind of pre-made inside of this software, and you can kind of use these to garner some new opening ideas, because sometimes they might play a variation you've never seen, and even still, you know, you might not know what to do. You would know that it's a good move because it's a book move, and then what you could do is take and study that move, and then, you know, maybe go to the database, maybe go to online like chessgames.com, or go to ChessBase and look up some games with that move and just see just a few moves what are people, you know, done thereafter, and begin to, you know, incorporate that new opening variation into your opening repertoire. So with that said, I hope this really helped people out. Again, like I said, I think these boards are fantastic for studying. If you want to use a physical board, this is just how I use it. Again, the main thing I do with it, for me personally, I don't necessarily study openings on it. I'm just trying to tell people how they could if they wanted to. But the main thing I do is I set up middle game positions and end game positions, and I pull. I do that from my own games, or say from like big time tournament games, like, you know, say something Magnus Carlsen or the other top players are playing in, or I use a chess book like this book over here, Complete Chess Strategy, because again, it is a fantastic book. And again, I'll have more to say on different books as I move along, and just try to recommend pretty good books, again, that I feel like people could get something out of where they won't be bogged down by the book. So with that said, that's it for this video. You guys take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.